Yeah, so in today's class, we are going to learn how we can apply lookup once we load data between landing to a stage table. Okay, so already we saw lookup we can do in the with the help of clean share functions, which are available within the clean functions library within the model, like from here. So if we go to clean functions, if we go to uh, miscellaneous functions, so here we have read database, right? So here we can connect to database table, we can define the lookup columns and return columns, and accordingly we can do the lookup. So basically in this lookup, we are getting, we are doing some kind of check, same like join, and then we are taking some return columns, okay? So there is a second kind of lookup is available in Informatica MDM, that is basically for the data validation. So that will not give you some return column. Suppose we have employee table and department table, and in employee table you have suppose department ID. So if you want to take the department ID and you want to go back to department and you want to take department name, something like that, so it's not possible in the second option. That is only possible here, okay? But in second option, what we can do, still we can do the lookup, and from the lookup we can make sure that whatever department ID we are getting in the employee table, those are valid department ID. If you will get invalid department ID, then we will see that those records will be rejected. So basically that also works on the principle of lookup itself, but that's main intention is to validate the data. So if you are not getting some valid data after doing the lookup, then that data will be rejected. So that things we are going to look into today. So here we can see lookup in base subject. We are going to learn how to verify if we are getting correct department ID or not. We can do the lookup in department table. If record will found, then it will be loaded in base subject. If lookup failed, then that record will be loaded in reject table. Okay. So this thing we can do with the help of this lookup option, and we will see how to define lookup. So for that we are going to create two table, department and employee. In department table, we are going to take simple column department ID, department code, department description, something like that, and then define base subject and mapping for department so that we can get the department base subject table and the data in the base subject table. Okay. And then today we are going to see one more option. You remember in the last class I had told preserve source system in stage table. Okay. So if we are preserving the source system, so I told in last class that we can generate the PKSRC object into the row ID object. So that option also we are going to see here. So basically what we will do, we will map this department code to PKSRC in a stage, and then we will do the preserve source system key so that PKSRC means department can pass to the row ID object. That option we are going to see. And then we will create one employee table where we will have these columns, and then we will define relationship. So if we will define this relationship, then we will be able to see that we can define some lookup options. So once we define relationship, then now create a stage table for the employee, and then there we can define the lookup. So for lookup also we have to make sure that the columns which we are doing for looking up, for basically for comparing the condition, that should be unique and that should not be null. Okay, in base subject. So these things we are going to do a step by step today. So for starting, let's try to create department table first. So we can go to landing table. Sorry, let's go to Informatica, and here let's try to create the landing table first for department. So this is a landing table for department, and here it goes created. Let's press OK. So just we are going to repeat the things which we did in last classes. So let's add here some column like department ID and department name. Some very simple. I am taking department name. Department ID list. So this, if you will save it now, then rename is not possible here. Always remember now. So if you will save it, this rename option will not come. So let's make it simple. Department code like IT, HR, something like that, and let's save it. So we have created our landing table columns. Now let's try to create a stage table for that. So for a stage table, let's create base subject first, as we know. So for base subject, B underscore department. Okay. Need to add columns. Let's come to department, columns. And here we can give like a department code, same columns, and department name. Let's save it. So we have this table. Now let's create a stage table for department. So this will be, suppose we are getting from CRM, DPT, and this we are getting from CRM. And let's take all the columns for easy understanding. I'm pressing OK.
Sorry for interrupt. Actually, I'm back, Abhishek, and actually,
okay, no issue. Let me recap. Just we have done very few things, so I'm recapping it. So in today class, we are going to learn the lookup concept, which is available in the base object. Lookup, that means we will have one department table and we will have one employee table. So in employee table, we will have suppose department code column, and in department we will also have department codes. On the basis of department code, we are going to doing the lookup. But in this lookup, we are not going to return any columns. In this lookup, we are going to validate the data that whatever department code we are getting in employee table, these are valid department or not. So if this department is not valid, this department which is there in employee code, then that data will be rejected and only the valid department code data will be loaded in base subject. So this thing we are going to implement in today class. So for that, just now I am this step. So we have just created one landing table for department, how we do in the other classes. Then I created the base subject for department. I have added the columns, and now we are going to create the stage table for the department, that also we created. Okay. So that's the things we have done in today class. Now I'm going to create the mapping for department. So this thing already we have covered in previous classes, like how to create landing, a stage, base subject, doing mapping and all. So same thing we are going to repeat. Let's go to mapping and let's create mapping for department. So this is aim underscore, this is for CRM and DPT. Here let's select the landing table and here let's select the stage table. CRM department. Okay, press OK. So here we got the mapping. So here we have to make sure one thing, like I told here, we have to preserve source system in department. Okay. So what will be the benefit of that? Let's come on that stage table. So here we have option preserve source system key. I think now we cannot change. That's the problem. Let's make it yes. We cannot change it now. Already we are in right block. Okay. So while creating only, we have to make sure that we will take this as a yes. So what will be benefit of this? I will tell you. By default, this will be a no. So I need to drop this table and I need to recreate so that we can enable this option. I'm just dropping the stage table. Let's come to a staging. Let's recreate. Okay. And here we will have a very option for this. Yeah, preserve source system. Okay. This we have to enable. So this additional thing we will learn in this class, like what is the value, means what is the concept of this. So let me give a stage table name like S underscore CRM underscore DPT. So this is SES CRM DPT. I have enabled the preserve source system key, and I'm taking these all the columns as usual. Enter the hacha. Once we will enable this preserve source system key, then it will ask you give some highest reserve key. So suppose if you are populating some kind of numeric number in this, just let me give some value, then I will explain in the mapping this one. So here, once you are enabling this, then here you have to give some highest value. What is the meaning of that? I will show you. So this option we have to enable while creating the stage table. Okay. So we have got our stage table. Also, we have got few columns in that. Now let's come to mapping and let's create the mapping for this department. So m_crm _ DPT, landing table at department, a stage table at CRM department, your research. So this got created. Let's do auto mapping so that it can automatically map. So why department code is not getting mapped? What is the problem between landing and a stage? So here we have department code. Names looking similar. Is there an issue in data type or what? It should ideally map automatically once we do auto mapping, clear all mappings. No, it will clear all the object. So we are just mapping department code to department name to department name, last update date to this. And one thing we have to, we will do, like in department code, we are going to take in PKSRC object. Okay. So department code, like suppose we will take HR, IT, something like that. And in the department name, we will give the full name, like information technology, human resource, something like that. So IT HR value I am passing in PKSRC. Okay. So as we know that whatever mapping we will do for PKSRC, the same will be populated in the respective PKSRC object column. Okay. And since we have enabled the reserved source system key on this stage table, then what will happen? The row ID object from this source, from CRM source, will be taken as this PKSRC object. That means once you enable reserved source system key, then this source system key will be reserved and the same value will be passed to the row ID object. In our previous classes, we saw that the row ID object was randomly given by Informatica earlier, right? But this time you can control row ID object using this option. So whatever row ID object you want to populate, just map that respective column from landing table to PKSRC and preserve the source system option here, and automatically that value will be passed in row ID object. So that is the only one option we have through which we can control the row ID object value. Otherwise, if we are not preserving source system key, then automatically that row ID object will be taken care by Informatica MDM. So let's save it and let me define some kind of, okay, so we are not defining any source system filter. So in landing, we will only create data for CRM for easy understanding. So let's get first this data in our, let's create some data in the landing table of department so that we can understand. Here is the landing table. CB department, this is CL department, CL DPT. So let's create few test data here. Like last update date we can take now. And department ID, let's suppose take IT. And here name is information technology. And here let's take date as now. And this let's take HR. This is human research. Now let's save it. So we have two data in our department. Like that, we can have multiple data. So our department table is ready. Now we can load it to a stage. We have mapping also, and we can load to base subject because that load job will be automatically created. Okay. So let's come to a step here. What we need to do. This we understand how to verify. So this we are going to do validation. Like, are we getting correct department ID or department code from employee table or not? So for department already we have created table, defined view and mapping, pass department code. This we have already done, preserve source system key to this, and then it will pass to row ID object of the base subject table. So this part we have completed. Now let's come to employee table. And in employee, what we need to do, we need to add the department code column, and then we need to define a relationship. Okay, so let's first create employee table where we will have the department code. So let's come to landing table. And in landing already we have the employee or customer table. Let's see what columns here we have. So here we have many columns. Let's add one more column. That is called department code. so that we can do lookup on the basis of this. Department code, just I'm saving it. So here we have added department code, and now let's come to the stage table of this. So we can first come to the base subject, and here we need to add this column like department code. And how to get this column in a stage table, this is challenge. So here if you see, we have already selected our columns. So this department code is not at any places, right? So we cannot add the column here, we have to recreate. So let's drop this CRM stage table. It is going to drop this all artifacts. So let's drop it. And let's create a stage table for customer for CRM. So S_CRM_ customer. And here I'm selecting CRM, and yeah, for this no need to reserve the PKSRC. So we can take any default value. For child table for department, we will reserve the PKSRC so that we can get the same value. This we can default, and here we have to make sure the department code should be there, and customer ID, customer name. Just take all columns by default, so that creating mapping will be easy. So we got all the columns. Department code was mandatory, so we got here. Now let's come and again let's come to a step. So define a relationship on EMP as EMP.department code. So this relationship we can only define if we have the employee base subject table. Now create a stage table for this EMP base subject. Okay, so we have already created the base subject table for this employee. So let's try to define this relationship. So what this relationship is saying? It is saying that employee department code from employee table should be equal to department.row_id object. So why we are comparing row ID object from department? Because as we know that row ID object is coming same value as department from department. How? Because department we have mapped with the PKSRC here. Department. Yeah. So this department code we are passing to PKSRC, and we have preserved the source system on this stage table. So this PKSRC will go to row ID object. Okay, so that's why we have to define a relationship like that. So for defining relationship, you need to come to base subject. Now create a stage this define relationship on employee table. So okay, employee accustomed table, whatever we have. So let's come to relationship and then right click, add relationship. Okay, so if you are creating add relationship, so here it is saying like which column you want to select from customer. That we want to select base subject department code, and here we are getting all the columns, all the tables which are available. Like we want to define relationship with which column. So just now we have created department. So we are taking the row ID of the department and press OK. So data type or data length are different for the column, so the relationship cannot be created. So that is the problem now, because this one will have the different data type, and here the department code, whatever we had in base subject, have been a different data type. That's why we are not able to set up the relationship. So let's do one thing. Let's try to see the data type of these two, and let's fix this up first. So let's come. We are taking this department code, which is varchar. Okay. So from customer table, we are taking the department code, which is varchar, and then we are trying to create relationship between this department table that is called row ID object, which is a char 14. Okay. So these two we have to sync up. So as we know that this value we cannot change row ID object data type and all, because this is created by MDM. So what we are going to do, we have to make sure that the same data type and precision is there in the here in this department table. Okay. So let's see if it is it's not allowing us to change anything. Just we can change the description, which is not going to help us. So once we save these details in the database, then we will now be able to edit the columns. So there is only one option that we have to drop this column. Okay, let me see if we can drop this. Let's drop this column and let's try to recreate department code. So this we have to make sure that whatever lookup we are doing, our data types would be same. Otherwise it will fail. So let's take char, and by default for char it is taking 14. That is fine. And also if we are doing kind of lookup, it should be not null. So we have to take this not null. So department code is not null and it's char 14. Now let's save it. So in backend is basically doing alter table, drop column, and or modify column. What we do first, it will drop and then it will add the column, something like that. So the table has not been saved. Why? Saving table. Okay, so still saving. What is the problem now? Alter table CB cast modify department code char 14 not null caused this. What is the error? SIP and SQL update column to be modified must be empty to decrease the procedure.
Some value is there.
Yeah, that is fine. That we are supposed to get. So we have to truncate this CB cast table. So let's go and truncate this table CB cast. This is the table we have. So this some value is here. So let's truncate, delete this data. So make sure if you're deleting data from base subject, we have to delete from cross reference also. Always we have to just keep in mind. CB cast. There is CB cast cross reference. This is CB cast. This is CB cast. This is P. Okay, CB cast cross reference. Here we have. So let's do it from here as well, so that our data will be in the sync. So now we have deleted. Now let's try to save it. Now it got saved, right? So from error message only we can understand few columns details and all. See here what we were doing that time. We have taken this as a not null, right? And if not null, and if we are adding this column and saving it, then this column was taking null value by default, right? So that's why it was failing. So just we truncated the data for that, and we have added. Now we can add the data through the mapping later. First, let's try to define the relationship again, and let's see if it is succeeding. So department code is char 14 we have met, and let's come to row ID object here, and let's try to define the relationship. Now we can see, right? So we can see this relationship from here also, or you can see from diagram also. So if you click on diagram, so here it will give you details. So here it is a CB cast. This is a base object table, okay? And this is a MDM system. No? So this is a row ID system. Basically, this is a source system. So this will be by default relation. So here if you come in relation, so this consolidation in indicator relation and this last row ID table relation, these two will be created automatically for all the base object. So basically what it is doing, this CB cast source system is equal to, there is a MDM system, this is called C repose system table is there, where all the, whenever you are defining a system here, na, source system, so that all the system detail will be stored in C repose source system, okay? And the display name of the table is MDM system. So automatically this relationship will be created. And this consolidation indicator relationship also be created because there is a column that we call C repose a consolidation indicator type. Okay. So for every base object, once you create the base object, these two child relationship will automatically be created by MDM. Okay. And this is a cross relationship. So what is this? So basically this is B cast cross reference, means B cost XRF table, row ID object equal to row ID object of base table. So this we already know, like row ID object from base table is equal to the row ID object of the cross reference table, right? So this will also, this three relationship will automatically be created for all the base object once you define the base object. So why our diagram, our relationship is not showing, which we defined for department? So here, let me refresh it, which log and acquire log. See, now it's showing. Now sometime it will not show, so just you release log and acquire log, something like that, release log and acquire log, so it can refresh the things in backend. So now it came, right? Department code from customer table equal to the row ID object from department table. The same thing we had defined. The same thing you can see in the diagram also. Here now we got the department table, right? So department table row ID object is equal to department code of the customer table. Now, so this relationship you can see in the diagrammatical format as well here. So, okay, let's come to steps. So here we have defined the relationship. We have created this table, we have defined the relationship. Now create a stage table for this employee table, okay? So now let's come to a stage. I think our stage table already we have defined for this customer table. We have also taken the columns. Here we are defined, but here we don't have that department code. So we cannot add now. So for a stage table, let's drop it and let's recreate, because we have changed the columns in the base subject. So we have to take those that department code column in a stage. So let's take a stage table. So is from CRM, is underscore CRM, and this is for not department, this is for customer. This CRM, and this time we can take all these columns. So we will take this department code as well this time, okay? And no need to preserve source system key for this, for employer customer. So this time hope you got these columns, department code, mobile number. Why we are getting only 3? We have selected more columns, right? Let's replace it. And let's go to a stage table. Why we are getting only 3? Address, mobile number, department code. We have not selected our columns or what? I think we have not selected the all columns. These 3 columns we had only selected. That's why we are getting that. So let me drop it again and take all the columns, so that we'll have a employee ID as well, so that we can understand it. A stage table, and here for easy now we can just click on this, deselect and select. So select all, and is underscore CRM underscore customer. We have selected all the columns, that is fine. Now let's come here. Now we've got all the columns here, right, on a stage table. So now what is it saying? That now create a stage table for this employee base subject we have created. Make employee.department code unique and not nullable in base subject table to validate for defining relationship. So this we can keep here. It will be easy for us to understand while creating. We will try to make already we have made a not nullable, but we have not made the unique. So let's see, we'll be able to define this relationship or not, this lookup or not, because we have to make that unique also, right? So if we are coming to base subject table here, department code, and already we have made not null, nullable, not allowed means not null, and we have to select this unique. So now we are able to select this unique option, right? So once you want to define this column in the lookup, then you have to make sure this should not be nullable, and this should be unique. These 2 options we have to make sure. Same like once we define trust and invalidation, so we select these options. So same like that, if you want to define lookup, then we have to keep these 2 things in mind. And let's save it. That means it should be kind of primary key. Means if it's not null and unique, then it will be kind of primary. So this one we are done. Now create a stage table for this, then enable relationship in a stage EMP table. So we have to come a stage EMP table. We are already here. So let's come here. Let's come to columns and see. For other columns, if you are selecting, we are not seeing this option is enabled, this edit option, okay? But once you are clicking on this department code, you are see this option is enabled for defining the lookup system, lookup table and all, okay? Why? Because you have defined the relationship properly for this department code. That means there is some relationship with this department code from some table, and also that department code which is coming from base subject, which are there in base subject, that is not null and unique. That's why you are able to see this option. If you not define that two things, you will not be able to see this option. It will be again redo only, okay? So we have to make sure that we will follow the steps, and then we define now the lookup. So let's define the lookup. So lookup we are defining in the which system? In CRM, because this table is belonging from CRM. So let's take that is same. And if you are coming to department table, so we are whatever value we are getting in this customer for department, that value we are going to see look up in the row ID object of the department, right? Because in row ID object we are also getting the department through our mapping and through reserve source system key, okay? So here lookup table is department and lookup column is this. Once you do this configuration, it will show like that. Now we have saved it. Now this is showing fine. So now first try to create some test data, and then we will try to understand it is working or not working, right? So for that, let's go to landing table of these two. So in landing table already for department, we have created some test data. Here we have taken IT and HR. So let's load this department table data in base subject through mapping and all, okay? So let's come to mapping and CRM department. Let me run this mapping. So that mapping we can run from batch viewer, and here you can come as department. These are for the okay, mapping name is not showing. Why? Just a minute. So this mapping should show here. So this mapping will show in the stage job, okay? So if you are coming to batch viewer, then here we have many options. By procedure type also we can do. Here you can see. So here we can arrange this by date, by table. If you do by table, it will show like that. By procedure type. Procedure type means our procedure is a stage, right? And in a stage we had this mapping created. So now this is showing. So let's execute the batch to load the data in department stage table. So here we got two data in the stage table. That is fine. Now let's verify that are we getting PKSRC correctly or not. Let me refresh this, because we have created many tables, not refreshed. Okay, now let's see the stage table. CS department. Where is the CSD? Where is the CS CRM department? Right, this one. So here we got these two value in the PKSRC object, okay? That is fine. This one we got like this. That is fine. So we got correct value in PKSRC. Now let's run the load job for department. So let's go to department and create run the load job. What happened? We cannot execute procedure this time. Refresh the status of procedure. Check the application. Okay. Let's see due to what reason it got failed. Saying PK SRC object column in the stage table contains values that are not integers. Okay. The load batch job failed because the PKSRC column in the stage table contains values that are not integer. Why it is asking for integer? So let's see. Okay. So you remember when we had defined this stage table for department. For this department, here we had enabled our PKSRC object. Okay, and if you have enabled PKSRC object, then here we are given some highest value. So this highest value you can only give the integer value. You cannot give the alphanumeric anything value. Okay. So if this is taking integer value, that means we have to make sure that in a column which having the PKSRC object data, that should have the integer value. So now we are passing IT and HR, which are not integer. That's why it is failing. If we would not have enabled this option, then definitely it will pass, because PKSRC object can take varchar as well. But due to this option, it is not taking this IT and HR character of varchar data type. Okay. So what we have to do, we have to take some kind of numeric value in the department code or department ID, and numeric value, then we will be able to preserve the source system key. That is the only limitation of preserve source system key. Like if you are preserving, then you have to make sure that in PKSRC object you are passing the integer value. So let me add this. So in here, if we are preserving source system key, then we have to pass integer value in PKSRC object. So if we are not enabling this, we can pass any value. But if we are enabling it, then we have to make sure we have to pass the integer value. Okay, so that's why it is failing. So what we need to do, here in the mapping, we are passing this as PKSRC object. We can do data type casting also, but for data type casting, what we need to do, suppose we don't want to change our landing table, but again, we have to pass some numeric value like IT or HR. So how you can do that? So let's try to use the clinch function. I'm trying to handle this issue in between our mapping only. Okay. So in place of creating department code as a 1, 2 numeric value, what I'm trying to do, let's create one clinch library or kind of clinch list, where we will assign for IT 1 value and for HR 2, something like that. So that once we will do lookup, then we can get the numeric value in PKSRC object. Okay. Or second option, you can directly change this department code value 1 to something like that in the landing table, and then you can run it. So both options we have. So let's go to clinch function and let's try to create some generic processing geography. There is the string function. Read database also we can apply. Logic function, geography function, channel processing, data processing, companies. Let's try to create here some function. We can give any name. So this is a kind of department code generation. So it will take value department code in alphanumeric, and it will generate some value in the integer format. Let's try to test it and give the name as a clinch list, CL. CL means clinch list. Okay. Press OK. We got this clinch list. Now we have to add the value. So here we have created the, oh sorry, we had taken this graph function. Okay, we should not take graph function. So we have to take clean list, not a graph function. So let's add clean list. Okay. So CL underscore department ID generation. So it will give like we saw in the last classes. So here we can define. Okay. So it will search for a string ID, and output is again it is giving a string. Okay. So let's see, like it is taking a string to integer, it is doing automatically, or what it is doing, we'll see. Otherwise, you will try to apply the casting. Exact match 1. And suppose if you are getting HR, then for HR, it should generate something to department code like that. Okay. So we created here, we can test here if you're passing, suppose HR. So let's see what we are getting. We are getting 2 in output. Na? We are getting the numeric value. We need to use this clean list in our mapping now to handle this issue. So where we are defined in geography, we are defined. Okay. So we cannot pass this directly. We understood the issue. So what we are going to do, we have created one user defined clean list, and we are taking this in input, and in output we are passing this PKSRC object. So if it will get IT or HR accordingly, it will populate the numeric value in the KSRC object. Okay. Now we will run the stage job to see how it is behaving. So let's come to a stage job. This time again it got failed. Let's see what is the region. So data access is failed to get direct connection. What is this? Data access exceptions failed to get a direct connection. This is something related to our infrastructure. Let me release log and run it. So this basically our server is already running, right? Localhost data access exception SIP is failed to get direct connection. Let's run one or more time. If we will get error, then we will try to go for other option. See, this time we got succeeded. Huh? So sometime now this type, if you are getting error, which is looking like some infra error, now here we are not getting any specific error like data type, this, that, or the column should be there, something like that. Okay. So if your error will be logical, then it will we will get in description. We can understand what thing we need to change. And if you are getting such kind of error, you can ignore it and you just close the things and you can again try. So it will success. So here 2 records we are getting. Let's go in a stage table. CS stage. So now we are getting C 1 and 2. So now we learn how also to use the clean list and how to create a user-defined clean list and how to use in the mapping as well. So we can do many things from here. So okay, 1, 2 we are passing. Now let's try to run the load job, because now we have 1, 2 value in the PKSRC object, right? And already we have given 1000 as a highest value for preserving the source system key. Okay. So 1, 2 is less than 1000, so it should not be a problem. Now let's go to batch viewer, save it. And let's again run the load job. So nothing to worry for if your job is getting failed. Okay, if you fail more time, then we learn the more scenario. Just we have to see the error and we try to fix it so that we can capture the more scenario. See, this time it got succeeded. That means we solved one error, right? And that error was due to the data type issue. We have not changed data in our landing table. We have solved it within our mapping. Okay. So likewise, if you face any error, so just try to think like how we can solve it. There will be many solutions. So try different solutions once you do practice so that you can extend your knowledge. So let's go to base subject in department and see what we have. CB department, this one. See, this one thing we got, that the row ID object we are getting 1 and 2. And 1 is for 1. If you see, 1 is for IT and 2 for HR. That means right value we are getting row ID object. The same thing we expected. Why? Because we have preserved the source system key for that stage table, and that same PKSRC is passing in the row ID object. That means this step is working perfectly fine, right? Now we have to come to this the thing we have to always keep in mind. So this, okay. Now what we can do, we have already defined this relationship. We've already created the stage table. Also, we have defined the lookup. Let's check one more time. Stage table. Let's check our lookup and everything is intact or not. For CRM, we need to check. So we have to click on the stage table columns, and here our lookup and everything is intact. So let's create some test data for customer in landing table so that we can test and understand. Okay. So let's come to landing table of the customer. Landing table of the customer is where? CL cust. Okay, so I'm taking pause here, and if you have any question, you can ask, then we can proceed. So I understand no question, that's fine. So
Abhishek, sorry for interrupting. I'm joining late, I think 5 to 10 minutes. So just I want to begin from the beginning, the steps, if I miss something. So it's
so in that case, you will have this video, okay? So you can recap everything, and if you find difficulty after recapping, then you can ask that in the next class, or in between, you can just ping me on WhatsApp, and if I will be free, I will reply that.
Okay, thank you so much. So
I'm recording since this session from starting only.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
So here, let's try to create some test data for CRM. So here we have few data. Let's make this also CRM, so that we will have some more scenario for CRM. Let's take this data also from CRM. And okay, address and all we are not going to change. Here for this testing, we have to make sure that like we are passing, suppose IT, HR, and suppose here marketing. Suppose we have MKT, marketing kind of department code. Okay. So IT and HR we have defined in our system. So IT and HR should ideally load in the base object. But this marketing it should not find while doing lookup in the department. So this marketing should be rejected. This is our assumption, right? Expectation. Let me save this test data. And customer name also, let's give something. Okay, so basically we have to focus on this three CRM record, and we have to focus on this department code basically. So this IT HR data we are supposed to load in base subject of employee, because means employee or customer, because these are the valid department code. But this marketing is not valid department code because this we have now defined in our department table, right? So as per lookup validation, this should be rejected. Okay. So now let's first load the data in the stage of the CRM. Okay. So do we have mapping for CRM or not? Let's see. CRM department, we don't have mapping for CRM. Let me create one mapping for CRM. So aim underscore CRM underscore customers. And here we can take LCast, and here we have to take CRM cast. Okay. Rest okay. And let's do auto mapping. And here what we have to do, let's pass this customer ID to PKSRC object for easy understanding. So we can just get the landing table data in a stage table. So we are getting the department code also, that is fine in a stage table. So that is fine. Mobile number is not mapped, so maybe mobile number we are not getting from this landing, that is fine. So let's save it and let's try to run the batch viewer. A stage table, let's come to a stage procedure, and let's come to CRM cust. Just now we created. So customer stage table for CRM we just created, a mapping, so we can see it. Now let's run it. Oh, sorry, we have not applied the filter. Okay, so we have not applied the filter. See, now it is reading 7 record, okay? So let's come here and in query parameter enable the filter condition. So here we can give src system equal to CRM so that it can only read the CRM data. Otherwise it will read the all data, okay? Now let's go to batch viewer and again let's run it. So this time it read 3 data from landing, that is fine. That is what we expected. And you see that data in our stage table of the cust, CRM cust. So where is CRM cust? This is EDW. And this is CRM cust, okay? So we got this PKSRC object, this value, why? So because I think we have taken this value in our, here we can see, this taken 500, 600, 100 value in our customer ID, okay? And the same customer ID value we are passing in PKSRC object in our mapping. So same thing we are getting, that is fine. And in department also we have, what department we had in our landing table, same department we are getting here, okay? Now let's run the load job. So come to load procedure, come to procedure for CRM, which will be automatically created as we know. Now run the execute batch. Now here we can see what happened. Total record was 3 and all 3 got rejected. All 3 got rejected, which is unexpected, we will see. And here you can see that it is showing missing lookup or invalid row ID object record something, that's why it got rejected, okay? So now we can go here, view reject option, and here we can see the actual error description, like what is the actual region of rejection. So here it is saying, see, here it is saying that cannot find lookup value IT, cannot find lookup value this. Why it is, okay. So are you getting what mistakes we are doing from this error? Like how we need to resolve this error, you guys suggest me. I understood. Yeah.
For one of the flow, we have changed that IT to 1 and HR to 2. So it's comparing that way, means IT should be
Right,
compared
correct.
with IT.
Very good, Ashish. Yeah, you got it. So in one flow, we are changing IT and HR to some numeric value, and that numeric value we are comparing like this, right? That's why it is not able to find the match, and it is understanding that all the department is invalid department. So from employee, we are changing IT to 1, HR to 2, something like that. But in department, still we have IT and HR, something like that. That's why we are getting this value, right? So that we understood that why we are getting this rejection. This is not supposed to happen, but it happened due to our not proper configuration of data. So let's try to correct it. So what correction we have to do? We have to do the correction in the department table, right? Not in department. I think let's come to mapping and we can see. Yeah, in department already we have handled and we are passing 1 2 value from here, right? So we have to handle it in customer table. So in customer table, whatever department we have, again we have to pass this department to that value, whatever we have passed, okay? So let's change this department here as well. And let's do this. So department we are not going to pass directly. We are going to pass, take the department code here as an input, and we are going to pass department code as this. So now this in cust table, again, it will change the department to 1 2 while loading in a stage, right? So now we should correct. Let's try this and come to batch viewer, a stage, CRM cust, execute batch. So got succeeded, we got 3 record. Now let's see what we got in our stage table. Here we have our stage table. So, okay, this is fine, PKSRC is fine, but here we have to see. See, here we are getting 1, 2 and something like that, and this marketing we have not taken there. So we are getting MKT only. So it is not able to find MKT. So By default, it is taking the input value. So that is fine. Now we have changed this. Now let's try to run the load job. So let's come to load process here and execute batch. Now it is running. Again, we got failure. See, this time hope like we got our result. So out of 3 records, it is saying 2 got inserted, but 1 got rejected. Okay, and the rejection region is missing lookup. Okay, so you have to come here and you have to see what is the region of the rejection and which got rejected. See, now it's clear na, that MKT value is not able to find because we have not defined in our department table. Okay, so this is the way through which you can validate the data. So this lookup will help us to basically validate the data. So through this lookup, you cannot get the other columns in return. Like you are doing lookup on department code and you want to fetch department name and other thing like that. You cannot do like that. But still, if you have some data in your main table, parent table, and you want to validate that this data is correct as per the child information. So what we can do, we can define relationship between child, and then we can define lookup like this, and we can validate the data. So if data will be not found, then automatically that data will not be loaded also. So that will be loaded in reject. By this way, we can restrict the invalid data for some of the columns. So this is one way of validation. This is also called lookup, which helps in validation. Basically, this is validating the data, right? So this is the second way of lookup concept in the Informatica MDM. First concept already we saw through the clinch functions. Through the read database, we can connect and we can do. And second option, this is the available which we can do. Okay, so I'm stopping this class at this point for today. Tomorrow again we are going to resume our things from trust and validation. So this already we have covered. So tomorrow we'll again come here in a match merge tokenization and we'll resume it. Okay, I'm stopping recording for today.